Hello, it's Lisa Dickey from Dickey's Cooking School, and I'm going to show you how to make a really delicious pasta dish with broccoli, pureed Romano beans, and Parmesan cheese. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we've got our pot with water here, and we're going to put a nice chunk of salt in that pot. Okay, we're just going to let that wait till it comes to a boil. We have here 2 cloves of garlic minced. We got about 2 cups of penne noodles. You could use bow tie or rotini or your favorite noodles. You could even use, obviously, spaghetti noodles, right? But we're gonna do about, so if you're doing spaghetti noodles, if you've got the long stalks, it's about that much in diameter. We've got some salt and pepper to taste. And then over here, I just have some chicken broth simmering. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop in the end of the Parmesan rind. This is actually a really flavorful thing you can use to either augment a tomato sauce. It gives it a really nice flavor. Or you can actually make a stock with it, like you would chicken stock or beef stock, but we're gonna use Parmesan. So I'm gonna sink that into the bottom, and I'm just gonna let that simmer. And that's gonna just flavor that chicken stock for a little bit. And then we're going to add, this is about 1.5 cups of white Romano beans. And we're going to add them to that chicken stock, and then we're going to puree them and add some garlic so it's really smooth, okay? And then we're going to mix that into our pasta. So our pasta is going to have fiber and protein. And when these are pureed, it's actually going to make it almost creamy, okay? So while we're getting that going, I'm just going to talk to you about what's the easiest way to chop our broccoli. So when you get a stalk of broccoli, you're going to obviously take that little piece off there, right? It's going to be kind of tough. Now, some people eat the entire stalk and some people don't, so we can talk about that. So when you've got the broccoli this way, what you're going to do is you're going to basically cut each individual tree off. So when you go like that, so you just kind of cut into it and they'll just kind of fall away. This has been rinsed. Obviously, you always have to rinse your vegetables. Just grab these little trees. And broccoli's a good vegetable to use in a pasta dish because after you heat it, say you want to use it for leftovers, you want to make it for dinner and then take it for lunch, if you just slightly steam it, it won't be overcooked. So now when we're getting ready, we're just gonna now take the smaller trees, we're just gonna take those down. You don't wanna mash them too much, and you don't wanna start slicing into the little heads, right? Because then it gets kind of piecey and mealy. I'm just gonna put them in this bowl for now. Now when we get this one, that's gonna be kind of big for a bite size, so we're just gonna cut it in half so we've got 2 like that. So we're just gonna continue to just work through the broccoli. Last remaining big center stalk of the broccoli. Now this is an optional thing. You do not have to use this. I like it because I find it actually really sweet. So I just cut off all the ends of that center stalk and then I cube these little pieces. Now, when we talked about the Parmesan rind, if you don't have Parmesan rind, you don't have to have it. That's just an add-on. I happen to have it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna use it because I like it. So we've got our broccoli done, and so now while we're waiting for it to boil, we're just gonna mince up our fresh basil. And so one thing you can do with your basil is you can kind of get all the leaves, stack them all together. Make like a little sheet, get all like a little layer of basil leaves, and then you're just gonna kind of give them a tight little twist. So they're all kind of rolled up, and now you're gonna take your knife, you can use a big knife, you can use a little knife, and you're just gonna slice those little twists. And we got all this really nice basil. It's really aromatic, it's all kind of sliced up, and that's all ready to go. Okay, let's check out on our water. So definitely when you put your water in, you want a full boil, and as you can tell by the steam, it is a full boil. So we're gonna dump our pasta in, like that. And we'll give it a quick stir. And because I want to cook the pasta and the broccoli at the same time, I'm just gonna put this little strainer over top. So the steam from the pasta is going to cook up the broccoli. So we'll let that go. We're gonna put the lid on and I'm gonna turn it down a little bit just so it doesn't boil over, okay? And let that cook up. So I've got it at a 5 out of 10, so like right in the middle, okay? We don't want it to boil over. And so now if we come over here and we look, ooh, our chicken stock smells really good. And here is our Parmesan rind and it's simmering with it. I'm gonna remove that for a little bit. And now I'm gonna add in our Romano beans. Got a little bit of basil in there, that's okay. And our garlic. I'm gonna let that simmer for a few minutes and then I'm gonna puree it and add our Parmesan cheese. And of course we can add more Parmesan cheese to top it, just like we can add more basil at the end just to top it. So I'm gonna turn that's at a really low heat. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit to like a 3. And now we're just gonna wait. Our broccoli and pasta are cooking. Our beans are simmering with our garlic. They're gonna be really flavorful. And then we're gonna toss it all together. So with the lid on the broccoli, it actually steams in about 4 minutes, okay? You can see it's that bright green. You don't want it overcooked, okay? So we're gonna throw that in there. The pasta, you can see it's not quite ready. Pasta definitely needs a good 7 minutes. So that's not quite ready yet. So we're just gonna set that aside. Now if we look over here, here we have our beans and our chicken stock. If you didn't have chicken stock, you could even just use water if you wanted. You could use a vegetable stock or you could use a mushroom stock. You could use a little bit of water, and then when it's all finished, you could add some miso paste if you wanted to add some of that just for flavoring. You can't boil miso paste because you break down the healthy bacteria in it. Okay, so we're gonna now puree this. I'm gonna turn this off. And because it's a shallow pan, I'm gonna tip it a little bit on the side just so I can get it all in, but I want it a really smooth uniform. So I'm gonna take my time. If you don't have a hand blender, you could just put it in the blender. Okay, to this, I am going to grate in some Parmesan cheese and then I'm gonna grate some more when I top it with the pasta. Just give me 1 sec, I need the grater. Now we're going to grate some Parmesan cheese and we're gonna finely grate it. And I'm gonna say we're gonna grate, I don't know, about 3 tablespoons. And again, we're gonna add more. If you wanted more Parmesan cheese, you could do more for sure. Okay, we're gonna mix that in. Gonna add a little salt, or a little pepper rather, and a little pinch of salt. We're gonna get that combined. If you wanted to, you could add some butter to that. I've got about a tablespoon and a half in there, and that's just gonna make it a little bit more of a rich sauce. That's up to you. Check our pasta again. So a pasta, again, you want it what's called al dente, and that means it has a little bite. So when you cut your pasta in half or you take a bite of it, it should have a little tiny dot. You can see there's quite a pronounced ring. That's not quite cooked. So we're just gonna let it go for another minute, drain it, and then we're gonna put our pasta together. Super easy, lunch and al dente. Little white dot in the center, pasta's done. Drain it, carefully drain it. Add our noodles. And you see this pasta salad is almost equal parts broccoli, almost equal parts pasta, which is, if you're trying to go for healthy, this is what you want. You want to definitely make sure. Now we are going to add our sauce. So it's Parmesan stock, Parmesan chicken stock. We're gonna add that in. It's really creamy. It's got loads of fiber and protein. We're gonna give that a little toss. I'm gonna add a little butter because I love it. go. We're gonna toss that in, and the pasta's gonna melt it up nicely, and that'll just make it pretty rich. Toss that around. Then we're going to add our fresh basil. And a little more Parmesan. You could squeeze a little bit of lemon on top of that, would be really lovely. How about a little pepper? And a little salt. And that is a delicious pasta dish, ready for lunch, ready for dinner, under 15 minutes. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Happy eating. Bye.